Divers. My name is Jerry. I'm with Aquatic Adventures. I'm a product specialist, and today we're going to be looking at how to select the appropriate BCD for your diving needs. One of the things that we want to start out with is maybe just reviewing some of the concepts that we've talked about in the past regarding equipment selection. We would want to make sure we kind of address the safety suitability issues, comfort and ease of use issues, and whether service availability is there for close, convenient service for our life support equipment when addressing any piece of equipment. And we're going to take a look today at how that kind of fits in with selecting a BCD. So today, let's start out by asking ourselves this question. When I select a BCD, the BCD that I'm looking for, will that BCD be able to support my needs as what I'm looking for in diving? Particularly, this is going to kind of center around whether or not the BCD has enough lift. The lift in the BCD is sort of how much air it can hold, and therefore support both the diver's weight and any excessive equipment that they might be using or weights that they're using during the dive. I would also want to make sure I ask myself, is this particular model BCD available in the size that I need? That means if, let's suppose, I'm in an extra small or maybe smaller BCD, or I'm in an extra large or double extra large BCD or larger BCD, since some of those unique sizes at the extreme ends of the sizing chart may not be available in that particular model, I would want to probably start out by making sure that the BCD I'm looking at actually is available in that particular size. Another thing that I might want to make sure I address is how much equipment am I going to be using maybe underneath the BCD? Will I be using a thick wetsuit, maybe a dry suit that is going to kind of make it difficult, for instance, for me to move in the BCD? That might have impacts on whether or not I want something that is a little bit beefier and has more material in it, or is a little bit more trimmed down, so also my ease of moving around in the BCD is minimized or maximized, you might say. So one of the ways that we can kind of address that is there are two broad categories of BCDs. One is the jacket style BCD, which would be like our BC1 here from Atomic, or a back inflate BCD like the BC2 from Atomic. Let's talk just for a moment about the differences between those. Most divers, when they start out, oftentimes are using jacket style BCDs, which would be one like this. And as you can kind of see in the BC1, the air cell actually, where we inflate, comes completely around the diver, supporting the diver from both the front and behind. One of the things that this does is it kind of makes sure that I float very straight in the water. And a lot of divers starting out kind of like that because they're supported in a very even way. And if they overinflate the BCD, their head isn't pushed forward, which can sometimes happen in a back inflate BCD. If we take a look at the back inflate BCD, one of the things you'll notice here is that on the back inflate BCD, the air cell is actually located behind the diver and against the tank. Many times these BCDs will have more lift, but one of the other advantages is, of course, it's very trimmed down. Our size, for instance, very, very slight. So if we're in something like a dry suit, we can kind of move around a little bit better in that in something like this. It's one of the reasons why, for instance, technical divers using a lot of equipment will also want to be looking for a back inflate BCD. The other thing is that many of the back inflate BCDs, when they're combined with a harness and wing system, give you the opportunity to kind of change the size of the wing based upon the needs of the diver. And from that aspect, we can kind of customize our lift, making it possible, for instance, to support something like a steel tank versus maybe doubles versus a standard aluminum tank, which would be a little bit lighter. With the back inflate BCD as well, one of the things that we might look for that makes the back inflate kind of an advantage is if we are planning to travel, many of the travel BCDs are also going to be back inflate. The reason that this is kind of an advantage is you can see it's a very, very minimal type of BCD, very, very lightweight. And in the case here of the Ziegler Covert, we can fold this all down, fits very nicely into a travel bag. That makes packing certainly much, much easier. The one downside, of course, is this BCD does not perhaps have enough lift for you if you were in a cold water environment. It also is certainly not the same quality as maybe we need if we were really working our BCD hard using lots of heavy equipment. However, for somebody who is looking to put minimal amount of weight in using a very thin wetsuit, something like this is going to be a huge advantage. So a couple of other features you might want to be looking for in terms of your BCD is we might be looking at the types of inflators we'd want to add. In the case here, we have more or less a standard inflator, which is going to hit your dump up top and your inflate here, basically blowing in if we need to poorly inflate. Over here, we also have an option for adding to your BCD something like the alternate inflator, the SS1 from Atomic, which would give you both the inflator and your octopus in one unit, so that you can eliminate one of the hoses perhaps coming around your right or left side that you would normally have your octopus on. One of the other things in terms of features that we might be looking for is the weight pockets. Most of our BCDs these days will have some kind of weight integrated system where the diver loads weights into a weight pocket like so, puts them in, and then slides them into the BCD. Those weight systems make it very nice because you're not going to need to use a weight belt. Keeps your weights kind of off from you, so certainly increasing our comfort. One of the things that can be a problem in the back inflate BCD is if we do overinflate it, we'll have a tendency to move forward. So one of the things, if you were looking for a BCD like that may be the presence of trim weight pockets. On the BC2, we have simply a zipper. We can drop up to 5 pounds in the back part right here, zip that up, and that'll kind of help tip us back during the dive. And in some cases, we might have, as we see in the covert, extra little pockets on the cam band. Sometimes those are a little bit more difficult to load, but they're conveniently located, so you can either put them either on the top band here, which is going to kind of pull you forward a little bit more, or you can position them on the lower band in order to pull you back just a little bit less, but add a little bit of additional weight. Again, these are a couple of features that you want to look for in your BCD. So that kind of gets us to the point where we can make a selection based upon our needs as a diver. Once again, thank you. I'm Jerry with Aquatic Adventures. Hopefully this will help you with your selection of a BCD.